You're listening to the Bare Metal Cyber Prepcast, created to help you succeed in your educational journey. Learn more at baremetalcyber.com, where additional prepcasts, books, and training materials await. Let's get started. Key management is the art and science of controlling cryptographic keys throughout their entire existence, from the moment they are created until the moment they are securely destroyed. A key is more than just a string of bits. It is the lock and unlock mechanism for sensitive information, and mishandling it can unravel even the strongest encryption. Proper key management ensures that secrets are generated with enough randomness, stored where unauthorized users cannot reach them, rotated before weaknesses appear, and retired when their usefulness ends. It is not enough to rely on algorithms alone. Without disciplined stewardship of keys, cryptography collapses like a sturdy safe with the combination taped to the door. Recognizing the life cycle of keys, from birth to retirement, helps organizations structure defenses around what is arguably the most valuable digital asset they possess. To handle thousands or even millions of cryptographic operations efficiently, organizations rely on a key hierarchy. At the top of this structure sit root keys, sometimes referred to as master keys, which are rarely used directly but act as anchors of trust. Beneath them are key encryption keys, or KEKs, which exist to protect lower-level keys. Finally, at the bottom are data encryption keys, or DEKs, which perform the actual work of encrypting and decrypting files, databases, or communications. This layered system is like a set of Russian nesting dolls. The smallest doll represents the DEK that touches the data, but it is encased by a KEK, which is in turn encased by a root key. By distributing responsibility in this way, you can scale key management without overburdening the crown jewels at the top of the hierarchy. Modern cloud providers and enterprises alike often turn to Key Management Services, or KMS, to simplify the complexity of key lifecycle operations. A KMS is a managed service that can generate keys, store them in secure modules, rotate them on schedule, and enforce who has permission to use them. Instead of every developer inventing their own system for handling keys, the KMS provides a consistent and controlled interface. Administrators can define policies, monitor usage, and integrate the service with encryption tools across the organization. In practice, this means that when an application needs to encrypt a file, it makes a call to the KMS rather than manipulating keys directly. The service becomes the gatekeeper of cryptographic trust, centralizing oversight and reducing the risk of shadow practices or accidental exposures. Still, for the highest level of assurance, organizations rely on hardware security modules, or HSMs. These are dedicated, tamper-resistant devices designed specifically for storing and using cryptographic keys. Unlike general-purpose servers, HSMs are built with physical protections, such as sensors that erase keys if tampering is detected, and are certified against rigorous security standards. They can generate keys using high-quality randomness, protect them from extraction, and perform cryptographic operations entirely within the hardware boundary. Using an HSM is like placing a diamond in a vault that not only has steel walls but alarms, cameras, and guards. Even administrators cannot extract the keys, they can only request operations. This level of assurance is often required in industries like finance, healthcare, and government, where compromise would be catastrophic. Bring Your Own Key, or BYOK, emerged as a way for customers to exert more control in cloud environments. Rather than relying entirely on provider-generated keys, customers create their own keys in a trusted environment and then import them into the provider's KMS. This ensures that the root of trust originates with the customer, not the cloud vendor. However, BYOK does not mean total independence. Once imported, the keys live within the provider's systems, albeit under defined custody controls. The appeal is partly psychological. Customers feel ownership, and partly regulatory, as some standards require evidence of customer-generated entropy or external custody. It is akin to bringing your own lock to a rented storage unit. You still rely on the facility's guards and walls, but at least the padlock itself is yours. Hold your own key, or HYOK pushes this concept further. In HYOK, keys never enter the provider's environment at all. Instead, they remain in customer-controlled systems, and the cloud application reaches out via secure APIs whenever cryptographic operations are needed. This model maximizes control but introduces operational complexity. Performance now depends on network connections, and resilience requires strong failover planning. Organizations that use HYOK often do so because of strict legal requirements that forbid keys leaving national boundaries or corporate custody. The analogy is keeping valuables in your own home safe rather than the storage facility. You maintain full control, but you must also handle all the responsibilities, monitoring, availability, and disaster recovery that the provider would otherwise manage. To balance performance and control, many systems employ envelope encryption. In this model, data is encrypted using fast, disposable data encryption keys, which are themselves protected by higher-level key encryption keys stored in the KMS. This approach means that bulk encryption operations run efficiently, while the sensitive KEKs remain tightly controlled. If a DEK is exposed, its scope is limited, and revoking its KEK invalidates all associated DEKs in one sweep. Envelope encryption is like using small, single-use envelopes sealed inside a larger, locked bag. Each envelope protects its contents, but control of the bag. The KEK lets you govern them all collectively. This layering provides both operational speed and centralized authority, a combination essential for large-scale systems. Key management also requires clarity about the states a key can occupy. Keys do not simply exist or not exist. They move through well-defined phases. Pre-activation when created but not yet in use. Active when performing cryptographic functions. Suspended if temporarily blocked. Compromised if suspected of exposure. Retired when no longer approved. And destroyed when irreversibly erased. These states provide a common language for administrators, auditors, and applications. They make it possible to automate decisions such as denying use of suspended keys or triggering alarms when a compromised state is declared. Much like a driver's license that can be active, suspended, or revoked, a key state tells everyone whether it should be trusted on the digital highway. The concept of a crypto period is central to disciplined key governance. A crypto period is the approved time window during which a particular key is considered valid for use. Too short a crypto period can create operational headaches as data must be re-encrypted frequently, but too long a period increases the risk that the key will be exposed or weakened. Choosing an appropriate crypto period is a balancing act, guided by standards, risk assessments, and the sensitivity of the data. In many systems, symmetric keys might have crypto periods of months, while root keys are kept for years but used sparingly. Defining these intervals ensures that even if no breach occurs, keys are refreshed before they become stale, keeping the overall cryptographic system agile and resilient. Rotation policies extend the idea of crypto periods into practical schedules and triggers. A rotation policy defines when keys should be replaced, whether on a calendar schedule, after a certain number of uses, or in response to an event such as suspected compromise. Proper rotation ensures continuity. Old keys may remain available for decryption, but new encryption operations use fresh keys. This avoids the sudden cutoff of access while still maintaining forward security. In everyday terms, it is like changing the locks on your house. You keep the old keys around long enough for residents to retrieve their belongings, but new entries require the updated key. Rotation keeps systems from depending on any one secret for too long, limiting the damage if that secret leaks. Access control is just as important for keys as it is for data. Administrators must enforce least privilege, ensuring that only those who need a key for their role can use it. Separation of duties adds further assurance by dividing responsibilities so that no single person can misuse a key without collusion. Just-in-time authorization further reduces risk by granting access only for the duration of a specific task. This multi-layered control resembles the checks and balances in government, where power is deliberately distributed to prevent abuse. Applied to cryptographic keys, These principles ensure that the organization's most sensitive assets are not vulnerable to a single rogue administrator or careless mistake. Certification under standards like FIPS 140-3 provides assurance that cryptographic modules and boundaries are designed and tested to rigorous levels of security. Achieving such validation is neither quick nor easy, but it signals that the device or service has met international benchmarks. For organizations in regulated industries, using FIPS-validated components is often mandatory. It is similar to building codes in construction. While you can erect a structure without them, certifications provide confidence that the foundations are sound. In cryptography, where invisible flaws can undermine entire systems, these validations provide a vital layer of trust for both customers and regulators. Even within trusted teams, sensitive key operations require more than one set of hands. Dual control ensures that two authorized individuals must act together to complete a critical task, while split knowledge ensures that no single person ever possesses the full secret. These measures are rooted in the principle that trust is stronger when distributed. The practice is common in banking vaults, where two managers must turn keys simultaneously, and it translates seamlessly into cryptographic governance. By preventing unilateral action, dual control and split knowledge safeguard against both mistakes and malice, reinforcing that keys belong to the organization, not any one individual. Key escrow and recovery procedures provide a controlled way to regain access in emergencies. Without them, the loss of a key could make valuable data permanently inaccessible. Escrow allows keys to be stored in sealed form, accessible only under documented multi-party authorization, while recovery ensures that systems can be restored if keys are lost or corrupted. The challenge is balancing availability with security. Escrow must not become an easy backdoor. Well-designed procedures use strong encryption, require multiple approvals, and leave auditable trails. It is the digital equivalent of locking a backup key in a safe deposit box, retrievable only when the right people gather with the right permissions. Logging every significant key operation ensures that the system remains accountable. Logs should capture when keys are used, who authorized them, when policies are changed, and what administrative actions were taken. This record is not just for catching wrongdoing after the fact. It provides ongoing assurance that governance is functioning as designed. In practice, logs support audits, help detect anomalies, and reassure partners that cryptographic practices are real and enforced. They are the diary of the key management system, documenting not only what happened, but proving that nothing inappropriate was hidden in the shadows. Without logging, even the most carefully designed key system would remain opaque and untrustworthy. For more cyber-related content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are other prepcasts on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. When designing key management systems in the cloud, administrators must first understand the policy models of a KMS. These policies define who can use which keys and under what conditions. Resource policies attach rules directly to the key, identity policies govern user and role behavior, and grants allow temporary or narrowly scoped permissions for specific operations. This layered approach is similar to overlapping security gates in a building. The front door controls entry to the property, internal badges restrict movement between floors, and a temporary visitor pass allows short-term access to a single room. Together, these mechanisms provide flexibility without sacrificing control, ensuring that cryptographic keys remain guarded by precise and auditable permissions at every step of their use. For organizations that demand both resilience and strong assurance, HSM clustering provides a powerful solution. Instead of relying on a single hardware device, multiple HSMs work together as a secure group. This arrangement ensures high availability so that key operations continue even if one device fails, while also enabling quorum enforcement, where multiple modules must agree before a sensitive operation is completed. Clustering also supports secure backup, allowing keys to be distributed across devices without compromising their protection. The effect is like keeping sections of a master key in multiple safes, so no one safe alone provides full access. This architecture not only avoids downtime but reinforces trust by making compromise vastly more difficult. When customers opt for Bring Your Own Key, the workflow introduces its own responsibilities. Keys must be generated in a trusted environment with high-quality randomness, then converted into formats compatible with the provider's KMS. Integrity checks verify that the imported key matches exactly what was created. The process is deliberate and must be documented to satisfy compliance expectations. Importing a key is not simply dragging and dropping. It requires careful custody to ensure that at no stage does the key become exposed or corrupted. BYOK is attractive because it lets organizations demonstrate ownership over their cryptographic anchors, but it also raises the bar on process rigor, much like carrying your own passport when traveling internationally, rather than relying on temporary identification. Hold Your Own Key, by contrast, keeps cryptographic authority firmly in the customer's infrastructure. In this model, the cloud provider never holds the actual keys. Instead, the customer's systems respond to secure API calls when cryptographic operations are needed. This increases independence but also adds challenges. Latency can become an issue, connectivity must be reliable, and failover strategies must be ready if the customer's key service goes offline. HYOK is often chosen when legal or contractual requirements insist that keys never leave a specific jurisdiction or corporate boundary. It is a demanding model, akin to running your own private water supply rather than using the city's pipes, but for organizations with strict trust boundaries, it delivers assurance that no external provider can override. Because data increasingly moves across regions, a multi-region key strategy is vital. Keys might need to be replicated for resilience, placed near users for performance, or restricted geographically to satisfy compliance rules. Each choice carries trade-offs. Local keys minimize latency but complicate global applications. Replicated keys improve resilience but increase management overhead. Region-restricted keys satisfy regulators but can slow cross-border services. Strategizing across these dimensions is like managing a fleet of ships. You want them distributed enough to respond quickly but coordinated enough to maintain order. A thoughtful multi-region approach allows organizations to balance technical needs with regulatory obligations while keeping key material governed under consistent policies. The balance of responsibility between customer-managed and provider-managed keys is another key decision. Customer-managed keys offer greater control and customization, letting organizations set rotation policies, monitor usage, and define access with precision. However, they also demand more operational effort, expertise, and cost. Provider-managed keys reduce that burden, automating much of the lifecycle, but at the expense of flexibility and some control. The choice often comes down to risk appetite and resources. It resembles the decision between driving your own car or taking public transport. One grants autonomy but requires constant upkeep, while the other reduces effort but limits freedom. Organizations must weigh which model better aligns with their priorities and compliance mandates. Hardening the administrative paths of key systems is critical. Key management endpoints are attractive targets, so network exposure must be minimized, strong authentication enforced, and API calls strictly controlled. Role-based access, multi-factor authentication, and segmentation of management networks reduce the risk of compromise. It is not uncommon for attackers to focus on control planes rather than data planes, knowing that one breach of an administrative endpoint can unlock everything beneath it. Securing these paths is like reinforcing the control room of a power plant. Whoever holds that room holds the system itself. In key management, safeguarding the administrative channels ensures that no intruder can seize authority over the locks of the digital kingdom. When moving data encryption keys between services, organizations rely on wrapping and unwrapping techniques. A DEK is encrypted or wrapped with a higher-level KEK and can only be unwrapped by an authorized key service. This process ensures provenance and creates an auditable trail. It is the digital equivalent of sealing documents in a signed envelope before passing them to a courier, then requiring the recipient to verify the seal before reading. Without wrapping, keys might be exposed in transit or misattributed to the wrong custodian. With wrapping, each handoff is deliberate, documented, and protected, preserving the integrity of the entire chain of custody. In some cases, protecting data is achieved not by destroying the media, but by rendering the keys useless. This approach, called crypto erase, makes data irrecoverable by destroying or disabling the cryptographic keys that secure it. Because encrypted data without its keys is effectively unreadable, crypto erase can be faster and more practical than wiping large amounts of storage. It is particularly useful in cloud and virtualized environments where physical media may not be directly controlled. Imagine a library where every book is locked with a unique key. Destroying the keys instantly makes the books inaccessible, regardless of how many shelves they occupy. Crypto erase leverages the mathematics of encryption to provide rapid, verifiable data destruction. Choosing the right algorithms and key sizes is another essential part of governance. Standards bodies provide guidance on what combinations are considered strong, and organizations must balance these against performance needs. Larger keys provide greater security margins but require more processing power, which can impact efficiency at scale. Selecting algorithms also involves considering compatibility and future resilience, such as resistance to emerging quantum threats. This decision is like choosing the thickness of armor. Too thin, and it is vulnerable. Too thick, and it slows down the entire force. By following recognized standards, organizations ensure that their key management practices rest on both secure and practical foundations. Certificates represent another form of key management in action. A certificate binds a public key to an identity, enabling secure communication across networks. Managing this lifecycle issuing, renewing, and revoking certificates is critical for maintaining trust. If a certificate expires unnoticed or is not revoked after compromise, the entire security chain can collapse. Certificate lifecycle management is thus a specialized branch of key governance, ensuring that the promises embedded in public keys remain valid. It is like passports in international travel. They must be current, authentic, and rescindable if stolen. Without disciplined management, trust between systems quickly unravels. Segregation of duties continues to play an important role in protecting key management systems. One group may handle the infrastructure, another may oversee cryptographic policy, and a separate team may perform audits. This prevents concentration of power and ensures that no single role can abuse the system unchecked. The approach builds on centuries of governance wisdom. Splitting authority creates balance and accountability. In practice, segregation of duties means that even if one insider is tempted or compromised, they cannot act alone. The chain of trust remains intact because collaboration and oversight are built into the very structure of the system. No matter how well keys are protected, compromise remains a possibility. A key compromise response plan must define how to revoke affected keys, rotate replacements, re-encrypt critical data, and document the incident. The process should be rehearsed in advance, just like a fire drill, so that if the worst occurs, the organization reacts with speed and clarity. This preparation limits the damage window and reassures regulators and partners that resilience is built into the system. Just as ships carry lifeboats not because they expect to sink, but because they must be ready, key systems carry recovery plans that ensure continuity even in crisis. Auditors and regulators will demand evidence that these practices are real, not theoretical. Evidence packages may include KMS logs that show access attempts, HSM certifications proving compliance with FIPS standards, policy records documenting rotation schedules, and change approvals for key handling processes. Together, these materials form a portfolio of proof, demonstrating that the organization's cryptographic trust anchors are being governed with care. They are more than paperwork. They are the tangible outputs that convert claims of security into verifiable reality. For organizations working in regulated industries, assembling such evidence is not optional. It is the price of admission to operate securely and legally. For exam preparation, it is important to connect these concepts to practical choices. The Security Plus exam may test your ability to select between KMS, HSM, BYOK, or HYOK models based on risk, compliance, and operational requirements. Understanding the trade-offs between control and convenience, cost and assurance, automation and independence, equips you to answer such questions with confidence. Beyond the exam, this knowledge prepares you for real-world decision-making in enterprises that must balance innovation with responsibility. Key management is not an abstract discipline. It is the backbone of digital trust. Learning how these models fit together is a step toward becoming not only exam-ready, but field-ready. Key management ultimately safeguards the lifeblood of modern security, cryptographic secrets. Through disciplined lifecycle governance, layered hierarchies, trusted hardware, and careful policy, organizations can protect their most sensitive assets with verifiable assurance. Whether relying on KMS for scale, HSMs for strength, BYOK for ownership, or HYOK for sovereignty, the common thread is accountability, clear evidence that keys are generated, stored, and destroyed according to plan. In a world built increasingly on encryption, strong key management is not a luxury but a necessity. It ensures that the locks remain secure, the keys remain trusted, and the digital kingdom remains defended against those who would try to turn the locks against us. This conclusion ties together the technical, operational, and compliance dimensions, reinforcing that good key management is not only a best practice, it is the foundation of trust in the digital age. Thanks for tuning in to the Bare Metal Cyber Prepcast, your trusted source for cybersecurity news and insights. Remember to subscribe at baremetalcyber.com so you never miss an update. And visit cyberauthor.me for best-selling cybersecurity books that equip you with expert knowledge. Until next time, stay secure and stay vigilant.